Welcome back to the deep dive. Every single week, the NFL just unleashes this torrent of information, right? Stats, projections, injury
Oh,
news.
yeah. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose, seriously.
It really is. And just sifting through it all is one thing, but finding those crucial nuggets, the why behind the numbers, that's the real challenge.
Exactly. And that's what we're aiming to do today.
Our mission is tailored specifically for you. We've gone deep on the week 3 player outlooks, and we're here to pull out those surprising facts, those strategic insights, basically give you a shortcut to being genuinely well informed.
Think of it like uncovering the tactical chess match behind the predictions. We're looking at QBs, running backs, receivers, even some special teams guys.
Yeah, going beyond the box score to find those real aha moments. We'll connect the dots, look for patterns, and really focus on what matters as week 3 kicks off.
And today, we're kind of focusing on the week of unsung heroes and strategic shifts. Exploring how talent meets opportunity, or sometimes runs into unexpected roadblocks. Let's unpack it.
I love that theme. It fits perfectly with the quarterback corner this week. We've got these elite guys setting the standard, but also this fascinating mix of rebound stories and just pure uncertainty. Take Lamar Jackson. He's making a serious early MVP push. 7 total touchdowns already in 2 games.
Incredible start.
Right, but he's doing it super efficiently, like under 30 pass attempts per game. We're expecting more fireworks against the Lions. But why has this specific low-volume approach been so, devastating?
That's the key insight, isn't it? It's not just the raw numbers. It's Baltimore's offensive philosophy now under Munkin. They're running this highly schemed play-action heavy system. It perfectly capitalizes on Lamar's unique ability to stress defenses, both before and after the snap.
Okay.
So against the Lions, who have that aggressive pass rush, this quick-hitting play action, plus Lamar's knack for improvisation, it's a perfect counter. It forces linebackers to hesitate, opens up quick throws or deep shots if he breaks contain. It's explosiveness by design, not just volume.
That's a fantastic tactical breakdown. And speaking of surprising starts, Daniel Jones for the Colts. He's absolutely red hot.
Yeah, really impressive first 2 weeks.
588 yards passing, clean 2-0 TD to INT ratio, and 3 rushing touchdowns already. He's led them to 2-0. Now, this week is his first road game, an AFC South rivalry against the Titans. What makes that rushing production so impactful, especially when, Jonathan Taylor hasn't hit pay dirt on the ground yet?
Well, it's kind of twofold. First, those rushing scores from Jones are legit. He's converting in the red zone where you might expect Taylor to get the carries.
Right.
And that forces defenses to account for Jones as a runner near the goal line, which, subtly opens things up for Taylor too.
Right.
Second, for the Colts, Jones's mobility isn't just about scoring, it extends drives. Against the Titans, a rival, you're probably looking at a gritty, maybe run-heavy game plan,
Makes sense.
which helps Taylor, while Jones still gets those chances near the stripe.
Then there's Justin Herbert, just quietly continuing his super productive, efficient play for the Chargers.
Always solid.
Over 70% completion, over 9 yards per attempt, multiple TDs in both wins. But the key detail seems to be his mobility is back. He's run for over 30 yards in each game. How much does that change things for the Chargers offense?
Oh, it's a game changer. Last year, you saw injuries limit his ability to escape, led to more checkdowns. This year, he's extending plays outside the pocket, giving receivers more time downfield. It just adds another layer to an already potent offense. Defenses have to rush maybe a bit more conservatively.
Which gives him more time in the pocket, too.
Exactly. It's not just the rushing yards themselves, it's how it unlocks the whole passing attack.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Talk about some QBs facing these crucial rebound moments or some volatility this week. Josh Allen, he's in what looks like a favorable spot to rebound against Miami after a pretty marginal week 2.
Yeah, definitely below his usual standard.
Just 148 passing, 59 rushing, no scores. He always has that elite upside. He's already run 20 times this year, but there's this caution note about tempered expectations, potential blowout maybe? And his past against Miami, only 4 carries for 9 yards total in 2 games last season.
Right. The narrative is they might protect him more.
So how much should we really temper expectations? Is this protection thing real, or are we maybe overthinking it?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And frankly, I think the whole protection narrative might be a bit overblown.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, sure, they want him healthy. But what often gets missed is how Allen adapts. His pocket presence has evolved. So the real insight isn't just if his rushing is limited, but maybe how he uses that threat to open up deeper passes. Miami's secondary, despite their talent, has shown some vulnerabilities there, especially off play action.
So less rushing, maybe more passing.
Could be. Might not be a huge rushing day, but maybe a passing clinic instead. The upside's still definitely high.
Okay, Patrick Mahomes. His passing yards, completion percentage, they're below his usual crazy rates. Obviously, absences in the receiving core are a factor.
Sure. Missing key guys.
But he showed chemistry with Hollywood Brown in week 1, found Tyquan Thornton deep in week 2. Now he gets an easier matchup against the Giants after 2 tough defenses. What's the hidden opportunity here for Mahomes beyond just, easier defense?
Well, the deeper insight is really how Mahomes elevates unfamiliar targets. Even without guys like Xavier Worthy, he's building chemistry on the fly. Few QBs can really do that.
True.
And the Giants' defense, they just gave up, 361 passing yards to Dak Prescott? Crucially, they don't always generate consistent pressure. That lets Mahomes extend plays, let those new connections develop downfield. So yeah, it's not just a favorable matchup, it's a chance for Mahomes to maybe lock in some new go-to guys and quiet any doubts about the receivers.
Makes sense. Baker Mayfield, he's had these back-to-back games with volatile performances that somehow still ended up satisfactory.
Right, bit of a roller coaster, but gets the job done.
He's got a 60% completion rate, 5 TDs, 0 INTs heading into a matchup with a middle-of-the-pack Jets defense. What does volatile but satisfactory actually mean for his Week 3 outlook?
It means he's taking risks, making high-reward plays, and so far they're paying off. The volatility is real, it's a pattern, but the satisfactory outcomes mean he's making plays when it counts, often scrambling aggressive throws downfield.
Okay.
Against a less scarce defense like the Jets, maybe that volatility turns into more consistent positive plays, especially if they blitz and leave guys one-on-one. He's not playing it safe, but hey, he's making it work.
Now, injuries and situational shifts, these can totally flip the script. Jaden Daniels has this mysterious knee injury, casting a shadow over Week 3.
Yeah, concerning lack of detail there.
He struggled rushing against the Packers, and now Marcus Mariota might start. That's labeled cause for concern, even though they face a lackluster Raiders pass defense. What's the immediate impact and maybe the ripple effect if Daniels can't play?
The ripple effect is the critical insight here. Daniel's rushing ability is so central to what the Commanders want to do on offense. It's not just his yards. It's opening up play action, read option looks.
Right.
If Mariota's in, you lose that dual threat dynamic completely. It fundamentally changes the playbook. Even against a leaky Raiders pass D, the efficiency of the passing game, especially under pressure, it's likely compromised without Daniel's mobility.
Yeah.
It's just a downgrade across the board for their offensive ceiling.
Jalen Hurts. 3 rushing TDs through 2 games, but 0 passing touchdowns.
Stark contrast there.
And he gets a tough Week 3 against a Rams defense that's allowed only 1 offensive touchdown all season and just 147 passing yards per game. This feels less like a tough matchup and more like a strategic bottleneck.
Yeah.
What's the real issue for Hurts' passing game, and how does this Rams D exploit it?
Well, it highlights a pretty clear concerning trend, right? Hurts is basically manufacturing fantasy points with his legs because the passing attack isn't clicking. The Rams defense is really good at taking away the middle of the field and getting interior pressure, which speeds up Hurts' progressions. Their secondary rarely gives up big plays. So the real problem seems to be a lack of consistent chemistry in the passing game, and the Rams' disciplined, aggressive front seven is kind of perfectly built to exploit that. It could limit his usual high production, especially through the air.
Mac Jones. Likely starting for the Niners with Purdy dealing with toe and shoulder issues. He had a great debut for them, 279 yards, 3 TDs.
Impressive first showing in that system.
But potential absences of Juwan Jennings and maybe George Kittle loom pretty large. How does that change his outlook?
Yeah, while the debut was promising, those potential absences are a big deal. Kittle's an elite safety valve. Jennings is crucial on third downs. Without them, Jones loses 2 key reliable options. He'd have to lean much more heavily on Deebo Samuel and McCaffrey. The insight is, even with Shanahan's system, a QB's success is still tied to his weapons. It probably raises Jones's floor a bit, but caps his ceiling significantly, especially against an Arizona defense that's actually looked pretty decent.
Carson Wentz. Looks like he's starting for the Vikings because of J.J. McCarthy's ankle sprain. He's facing Jake Browning in Cincy, and he won't have Jordan Addison suspension and maybe no Aaron Jones either, hamstring. That feels like an incredibly tough spot.
It really is. This is less about Wentz himself and more about just the sheer confluence of negative factors.
Right. Missing
Addison, a dynamic playmaker, potentially missing Jones, who anchors the run game.
Right.
The whole offensive weight falls on Wentz on the road. The Vikings will likely have to scheme around this. Probably means a conservative, low-ceiling game plan. His job will be more game manager than playmaker.
And briefly, Tyrod Taylor could step in for the Jets if Justin Fields is out with a concussion. He was efficient when he came in, but the note says low ceiling because of the Jets' conservative passing attack.
Yeah, his efficiency is good, but that conservative offense is the key takeaway. They lean on the run game, lean on their defense. Taylor won't be asked to air it out or throw a ton. His fantasy value would just be inherently limited because the Jets' whole strategy is about minimizing risk, not maximizing passing stats.
Okay, quick rookie watch. Drake May for the Patriots. He's got this diverse profile through 46 times week 1, ran 10 times week 2. He's called a low-end option against the Steelers, but with multiple paths to a fantasy return. How does that diverse profile play against Pittsburgh specifically?
Well, that versatility is his strength. The Steelers' D, while usually tough, actually showed some vulnerability to Justin Fields' legs last week, and they gave up decent passing yards to Sam Darnold, too. So the insight is May can adapt. If the Steelers bring pressure, he can scramble. If they drop back, he's shown he can sling it. It's not just generic diversity. It's a tactical advantage against a defense that might be exploitable in a couple of different ways.
Bo Nix, Broncos. Quick turnaround from a shaky week 1 to 3 TDs in week 2. But he also threw his 4th turnover?
Yeah, the improved completion rate was good, but that turnover number is the crucial detail. They often seem to come from forcing things, misreading coverage. Indicates he's still prone to those high-risk mistakes under pressure. Consistency is still a bit of a struggle for that whole Broncos offense, limits his reliability.
Michael Penix Jr. for the Falcons. Low output in week 2, just 135 yards, blamed on a run-heavy game. Looking to bounce back with a fully healthy supporting cast against the Panthers defense, allowing just 199 passing yards per game. What should we read into that low week 2 number?
I think the key is it wasn't really due to poor play. It was a strategic choice by Atlanta to just hammer the run game. The insight is, with everyone healthy, and facing a Panthers D that's been kind of middling against running backs, the opportunity for Penix to up his volume and efficiency is definitely there. Don't let last week's box score fool you. The setup for week 3 looks quite different for him.
All right, let's shift from the arms to the legs. The running back landscape this week, some huge opportunities for workhorses, but also some serious roadblocks for others.
Always a dynamic position.
Bijan Robinson, Falcons, expected to get another huge workload after that monster 143-yard rushing game in week 2. He's topped 100 scrimmage yards both weeks, and there's talk of an all-out commanding performance against a middle-of-the-pack Panthers run D. What tactical element makes him so dangerous here?
Well, Bijan's real strength isn't just the rushing yards. It's his ability to shift gears, power, elusive cuts, and his high-level receiving. Against Carolina, whose D-front can sometimes get caught guessing on misdirection and outside zone, his versatility forces them to defend the whole field. The insight is he's not just a runner, he's a genuine matchup nightmare. Arthur Smith schemes specifically to exploit that in multiple ways. So yeah, the stage is set for a potentially commanding day.
Jonathan Taylor, positioned as a potential top 5 fantasy RB for week 3, he gets a Titans defense that's allowed 300 rushing yards and 3 ground TDs already through 2 weeks.
Yikes. That's leaky.
Taylor's already got 236 rushing, 77 receiving, 1 TD. Expected to get a run-heavy script. We mentioned Jones takes some goal line TDs. But what makes Taylor specifically poised for a huge day against this Titans D?
Yeah, the game script helps, but the deeper insight is how the Titans have been gashed. They've really struggled with interior zone runs, leaving these soft spots for backs with Taylor's vision and burst. So it's not just about volume, it's a potential schematic mismatch. Taylor's patient style, his ability to hit the hole decisively, it seems perfectly suited to attack a defense that's shown vulnerability to exactly those strengths. Could be explosive, not just consistent.
Josh Jacobs, a true workhorse for the Packers. 23 carries, 84 yards, a TD in week 2. That's 10 straight games with a rushing score now.
Incredible streak.
His volume remains matchup-proof, even against a stout Browns defensive front. How does matchup-proof volume actually work against a front as good as Cleveland's?
It really speaks to the Packers' commitment, right? They just stick with the run game. The insight is, even facing a tough Browns front, Jacobs' consistent usage, especially short yardage, red zone, it kind of overrides the matchup difficulty. Green Bay just doesn't stop feeding him, especially near the goal line. So he always has those chances to convert. It's about guaranteed touches and high leverage opportunities, even if the yards per carry are tough.
Okay, versatility and matchup plays. Devon Achane for the Dolphins. His versatility is a big asset. 19 touches in week 2, 14 targets through 2 games.
Getting involved in multiple ways.
And he apparently gashed the Bills last year, 286 total yards in 2 meetings. What specifically makes him such a headache for Buffalo?
It's that blend of elite speed and real pass-catching chops. He's a nightmare. Turns short catches into huge gains, stresses linebackers running outside. The insight for this matchup. His receiving ability means he probably won't get scripted out, even if Miami falls behind. That's huge in a potentially high-scoring game against a Bills D that can be aggressive, maybe leaving space for him to exploit.
Christian McCaffrey. Expected to carry San Francisco's banged-up offense. Purdy, Kittle, Jennings, all hurt or iffy.
Yeah, you might have to do everything.
He's already got 50 touches, 249 yards, a TD through 2 weeks. His pass catching is dangerous, even against Arizona's pretty good run defense. How does his role shift when so many other guys are out?
Well, this is that classic case where injuries almost force the offense through one guy. The insight is his receiving becomes even more valuable. Arizona's been solid against the run, but they could struggle to contain CMC as a receiver, especially moved around the formation. He becomes the primary safety valve, the screen threat, the red zone target, basically the engine of the whole offense.
Derrick Henry, looking for a bounce-back performance for the Ravens after just 11 carries for 22 yards in week 2.
Yeah, very un-Henry-like numbers.
He faces a Lions defense that's allowed a rushing score to the lead back in both games so far. What does that specific vulnerability mean for Henry?
Well, that week 2 game was clearly an anomaly, mostly game script driven, lots of passing. The insight here is that specific Lions vulnerability, consistently giving up rushing TDs to lead backs, that suggests a potential gap in their run D or maybe red zone efficiency that a bruising goal line hammer like Henry is perfectly built to exploit. You'd expect the Ravens to lean right into that weakness. Prime spot for him to get back on track.
Jahmyr Gibbs. Dynamic playmaking ability for the Lions. 94 yards, a TD in week 2. His versatility and playmaking skills give him a clear path to RB1 value, particularly in PPR formats against the Ravens, even if they lean on him more. How does that versatility translate to RB1 value against a tough Ravens front?
His versatility is absolutely his superpower, especially in PPR leagues, against a stout Ravens front that will likely make traditional running tough. The Lions would be smart to use Gibbs' receiving skills. He's great running routes from the backfield or even split out wide.
Okay.
The insight is his value comes from how Detroit can use him to sidestep the Ravens' strong run defense. He becomes a crucial outlet even if the ground yards are hard-earned.
Javonte Williams. 3 TDs in 2 games for the Cowboys already. Took advantage of that porous Giants run defense. Now expected to face a bumbling Bears defense that's allowing 148.5 rushing yards per game, 27th in the league.
Bumbling is a strong word.
It is, but maybe accurate here.
What makes the Bears' run D so vulnerable?
Well, the bumbling seems justified because they consistently struggle with gap integrity, missed tackles, especially against zone runs. They let backs get to the second level way too easily.
Gotcha. So this isn't just favorable. It's potentially another schematic mismatch. Williams, with his power, his tackle-breaking ability, he should be able to consistently gash a defense that just hasn't shown it can stop the run effectively.
All right, shifting backfield dynamics. Omarion Hampton had a rough second game fumble, shared snaps with Najee Harris, looking to bounce back against a Broncos D that just gave up 215 scrimmage yards and a TD to Jonathan Taylor. What's the key to his bounce-back chance?
Yeah, that fumble led to a benching, always concerning for a rookie. But the insight is the type of defense he's facing now. Denver just got carved up by a versatile back like Taylor.
True.
So that offers a potential path for Hampton. If he can secure touches and, crucially, eliminate those mistakes, it's about opportunity meeting a potentially vulnerable defense, assuming he gets the ball back in his hands consistently.
And Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt could see the floodgates open for him. Austin Eckler's Achilles tear, Jaden Daniels' knee injury. The Commanders might have to rely even more on the running game.
Huge potential shift there.
But they face a stout Raiders run defense, only allowing about 70 yards per game, 4th in the NFL. How do you square a stout defense with floodgates opening for a new back?
It's a great question. It highlights that significant situational shift. Eckler's injury leaves a massive void. If Daniels is out too, the team has to lean heavier on the run. The insight here is that even against a tough Raiders front, the sheer volume of carries and maybe targets Krosky-Merritt could inherit, that might override the matchup difficulty. The yards per carry might not be pretty, but the sheer quantity of opportunity could give him surprising impact in Week 3.
Okay, let's hit the wide receiver wonders and woes. Some serious target magnets are just lighting it up. CeeDee Lamb, at least 110 receiving yards in each of the first 2 games, 24 targets already.
Dominant start.
Should continue to see plenty of balls thrown his way against a struggling Bears defense, most points allowed, a league worst 7 receiving TDs allowed. Feels like a perfect storm for Lamb.
Oh, it absolutely does. Prime example of elite talent meeting a truly vulnerable defense. The Bears' issues, especially giving up receiving scores, aren't just bad luck. It seems like consistent breakdowns in zone coverage, trouble containing WR1s.
Right.
The insight is Lamb, already the clear focal point for Dallas, is going to have multiple chances for big plays and red zone looks against a defense that just hasn't shown it can stop either.
Malik Neighbors, getting a plethora of targets, at least 12 targets for the second straight game, a staggering 25 targets through just 2 games.
Wow, that's huge volume for a rookie.
Turn those into 9 catches, 167 yards, 2 TDs in week 2. What's the significance of that target share so early?
Well, the insight is the sheer volume and the trust he's obviously already earned. For a rookie to command that many targets, especially heading into a tough Week 3 matchup like KC, it speaks volumes about his immediate role. That target share alone gives him a really high floor, even if efficiency isn't always perfect. Just because they're actively funneling him the ball, he's an instant focal point.
Puka Nacua. Productive 2 games, over 130 total yards in each, forming a strong bond with QB Matthew Stafford, 18 catches on 20 targets. That catch rate is insane.
It's phenomenal. And that catch rate on high volume isn't just good. It indicates immediate, clear trust between him and Stafford. He's a remarkably reliable option already.
Yeah.
The insight is Stafford is intentionally looking his way, especially on key downs, scramble drills, crucial for a young player. And his ability to add rushing touches just gives him another layer, makes him kind of matchup proof, even against a tough Philly defense.
Amon-Ra St. Brown delivered a monster week 2, 9 catches, 113 yards, 3 touchdowns, definitively leading the team, showing high-end upside against coverage.
Yeah, he was unstoppable. His route running, strong hands.
Yeah.
He dominates even when defenses focus on him.
Huh.
But the key insight might be his red zone usage, how the Lions specifically scheme him open down there. Combine that with his consistent volume. He's a high-end WR1, even against a disciplined Ravens secondary, just because the targets are so consistent and so valuable.
Devontae Adams had his first big game as a member of the Rams in week 2. 106 yards, a TD, 6 catches on 13 targets. Shows he can thrive alongside Nacua with Stafford.
Yeah, that's an important insight. It really confirms Stafford can support 2 dominant receivers. It kind of defies that idea that Nakua's rise would crush Adams' value.
Right.
Adams still demanding targets, even with Nakua producing.
Yep.
It solidifies his role. It means defenses can't just double one guy. They have to pick their poison, which opens things up for both.
Rome Odunze, building momentum, 7 catches, 128 yards, 2 TDs in week 2, look like the focal point. His trademark big playability and strong separation get tested against a Cowboys secondary that's shown vulnerable zones. What exactly are these vulnerable zones Odunze might exploit?
Well, his production is the focal point, plus that big playability makes him exciting. Those vulnerable zones for the Cowboys secondary typically found in the seams against nickel corners, maybe deep post routes if the safeties are slow rotating. The insight is Odunze's knack for creating separation on those specific routes could be directly exploited. Sets him up for another strong game if the offensive coordinator is smart about attacking those areas.
Jackson Smith-Njigba. 2 triple-digit receiving yardage games already, showing quick chemistry with new QB Sam Darnold. 17 catches, 227 yards.
Yeah, that immediate chemistry with Darnold is a huge plus. The key insight isn't just volume, it's timing and trust developing fast, leading to efficient catches. He's still looking for that first TD, but his consistent high yardage built on that rapport makes him a pretty high floor option week to week.
Okay, now for some situational challenges. Justin Jefferson. Struggling with QB J.J. McCarthy's vulnerabilities and inexperience, and now he might get Carson Wentz throwing to him. The outlook says his high-end production totals may not return in the near future. How long could a downturn like this last for someone as elite as Jefferson? What would it take to reverse it?
Yeah, this is a major concern. Exposes how fragile even elite talent can be when the QB play dips. The insight is this might not be just a temporary blip, a QB change, especially to a backup, on top of McCarthy's struggles. It suggests Jefferson's ridiculous production from past years might be on hold until that QB situation stabilizes. Or maybe the team drastically shifts its offensive approach. It feels more like a systemic issue than a one-week thing.
Nico Collins led the Texans in targets both games. Has rapport with quarterback C.J. Stroud, suggests an easier matchup against a subpar Jaguar secondary, but his catch rate is only 33.3%. How can he capitalize on an easier matchup with a catch rate that low?
Well, that consistent target share, even with the low catch rate, clearly shows Stroud trusts him. The insight is that this easier matchup against a weaker secondary presents a prime chance for that catch rate to dramatically improve.
Ah, okay.
The Jacks' corners tend to give up more separation. That should let Stroud throw to Collins in more catchable spots, should help him finally capitalize on all that volume.
A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. Paltry receiving yards through 2 games for the Eagles. Now they face a difficult time in week 3 against that stingy Rams pass defense, only allowing 147 passing yards per game. What specifically makes this Rams D such a nightmare for receivers?
Well, the Rams' defense is a nightmare matchup because they're great at taking away the deep ball and playing tight physical coverage at the line, especially on the outside guys. Plus, their ability to get pressure with just the front four means less time for routes to develop downfield. The insight is, it's not just stingy. It's a defense that strategically funnels passes underneath, limits big plays, makes it incredibly tough for guys like Brown and Smith to break out.
Brian Thomas Jr., slow start, just 60 receiving yards on 19 targets, but a nice opportunity to get back on track against the Texans defense that allowed the second most receiving TDs to WRs last year.
Yeah, this feels like a classic buy low spot.
Yeah.
The high target volume is there, so the opportunities are coming. The insight is he's now facing a defense that has historically been very generous with wide receiver touchdowns. Despite the slow start, the matchup itself points to a real chance for a breakout, especially maybe in the red zone.
Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel could be impacted by Jaden Daniels' knee injury, but the saving grace is the Raiders' defense being suspect against the pass, allowing 256 passing yards per game. Even with a potential backup QB, what's the silver lining?
Well, even if Mariota is under center, that Raiders pass D is a crucial silver lining. They struggle with deep coverage sometimes, covering shifty slot guys. The insight is both McLaurin and Samuel, who command targets and are great at creating separation. They could still have productive days because of the opponent's weaknesses. Might mitigate some of that QB downgrade.
Quentin Johnston seems heavily reliant on touchdowns for fantasy value. 3 TDs on just 8 catches. Now faces a tough week 3 against a Broncos secondary that has yet to allow a receiving touchdown to a wide receiver. That feels like a massive red flag.
Yeah, his TD dependency is a major red flag, especially against this specific defense. The insight is the Broncos secondary has consistently shut down WR scores, usually due to tight man coverage, strong safety play. This looks like a really challenging matchup that could seriously limit his fantasy upside since his main production path so far, touchdowns, looks pretty blocked here.
Okay, finally, let's shine a spotlight on special teams. Kickers, they can be absolutely crucial. Brandon Aubrey, Cowboys. Game-winning heroics in Week 2, 64-yarder to force OT, 46-yarder to win it.
Clutch kicking.
He's made 7 field goals already, 5 from 50-plus yards. Called arguably the best kicker in football right now. Favorable matchup against the Bears, who allow the most points. What makes that big leg so valuable?
This is where that unexpected value really shines. Aubrey's leg isn't just for show. It's a strategic weapon, the insight. The Cowboys' offense is aggressive, but even if drives stall outside the 40, Aubrey is still a legit scoring threat from almost anywhere.
Right.
Combine that with facing a Bears team giving up tons of points.
Right.
He's top tier because Dallas regularly gets him in range, and he converts from distances others just can't.
Spencer Schrader, Colts. Perfect 9 for 9 on field goals, including a game winner in Week 2. And the Colts have yet to punt this season, expecting plenty of chances against the struggling Titans. Yet to punt. That's huge for a kicker.
It's an absolutely massive detail. The insight is the Colts consistently move the ball into scoring range, even if they don't always punch it in for TDs. That creates an incredibly high floor for Schrader.
Yeah.
Against an 0-2 Titans team with a struggling defense, more field goal attempts aren't just likely, they're almost guaranteed given how Indy moves the ball. He's going to be busy.
Matt Prater, Bills. Productive start, 11 for 11. The Dolphins allow the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing kickers. Bills are heavily favored, with a healthy point total expected. Sounds like another solid day.
Yeah, all signs point that way. The insight is being heavily favored usually means more possessions, more scoring chances for Buffalo. And the Dolphins allowing points to kickers isn't just random. Often it's their aggressive D, allowing drives to stall, or their offense getting into shootouts. It's kind of a perfect storm setting up for Prater.
Volatile situations now. Jake Elliott, Eagles. He's gotten his groove back, hit 2 58-yarders already after a down 2024, but points may be difficult to come by against that stingy Rams defense allowing only 14 points per game.
Yeah, his accuracy from distance is back, which is great. But that Rams defense is a major hurdle. The insight is their stinginess isn't just about preventing TDs. They're good at limiting drives from even reaching scoring territory. Elliott's opportunities might just be limited by the Rams controlling the game and keeping Philly out of range.
Joey Sly, Titans. He's 8 for 8 on field goals, but only one Patek. The Titans' offense frequently stalled in scoring range. He could hold value by settling for field goals, but his past accuracy issues are noted as a concern.
Right, his value is purely from volume due to offensive inefficiency. The insight is, while the Titans' stalling forces attempts, Sly's history of accuracy woes is a significant underlying risk. It's a classic quantity over quality situation, but definitely comes with a warning label. He'll get chances, but making them consistently isn't a given.
Wow, what a deep dive this has been into the week of unsung heroes and strategic shifts. We've covered so much ground. From Lamar's tactical brilliance to Daniel Jones's surprising impact,
Yeah, explored Bijan's nuanced role, McCaffrey basically carrying an offense.
and really dug into the why behind receivers like CeeDee Lamb dominating, while others like Justin Jefferson face these really significant strategic headwinds. This whole dive gives you, the listener, that more nuanced view of the upcoming games, right? Moving past just the surface stats to the context, the surprising details shaping Week 3.
Absolutely. It just highlights how performance isn't only about talent. It's shaped by injuries, specific team strategies, those critical opponent matchups. All those layers can truly make or break a game.
Exactly. So as we head into Week 3, armed with all this detailed insight, what hidden variable, what completely unexpected moment do you think will ultimately flip the script for one of these players, proving that even with all our analysis, that unpredictable magic of the game still reigns supreme? We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.